Up, buddy?
Eric, how are you? I'm doing okay.
Clear? Am I still good?
You're still choppy with your voice, man.
Probably. Uh,
Yeah,
all right. Let me try it this way. Is that like better?
I got you now.
All right. Cool. Let's get going before we lose everything.
Yeah, no more
Uh,
technical craziness.
we're gonna try. We're gonna try.
All right.
So we're talking a little bit about core strength today,
Yes,
right? Yeah,
yes,
because
we are.
we've talked a little bit about injuries, and I feel like the core is, I mean, it's right in the middle there. It's got to be, it's got to do something to help reduce injuries if you got a strong core.
Yes, it does. So let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Do you know what the core is?
Uh, no. I think when I think core, I think like abs. I think like obliques. Um, that's kind of it
Right, and that's what most people
for
think.
me. Yeah,
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 yeah. No, that's what most people think. And I actually don't like the word core because I think it's been overused and abused over the past 12 to 15 years, like core strength, core. This is a core exercise. That's a core exercise. So
yeah.
I want to go over what my definition of core is. All right.
Sure.
So physically, it's basically all the musculature that goes from your shoulder girdle
Yep.
down past your pelvic girdle to below your glutes. Okay. So
Okay.
core involves glutes and lat muscles and your diaphragm and your deep spinal stabilizers and your abdominals, all layers of the abdominals,
Hmm.
and your pelvic floor. Who would
Yes.
have thought we would have said the words pelvic floor on Runner's Coffee Talk, right?
I know I've heard of it from my wife when she was giving birth. It's a thing. They,
Yes. A lot
but
goes on in the pelvic floor during that.
that is all I know about the pelvic
Yeah.
floor. And
So if
yeah, I hear it gets pretty rough down there.
yeah,
Um,
and they have specialists that deal with that specifically. It's that
mhm.
important. But if you think about like your torso, you've got your diaphragm at the top, and you've got your pelvic floor in the bottom, and there's this
Mhm.
cylinder, and like that's where you're breathing, and that's where a lot of action is happening. So
Yeah.
that physically, all of that could be considered the core. So I
Okay.
could show you an exercise that is not challenging your abdominals, but could still be a core exercise, right?
Interesting.
Yeah.
So my
So
shoulders are part of my core.
yeah. So if you
It's
looked at
this whole deal.
this, yeah, your whole basically it's not the chin up. Some
Right.
people would argue that, and it's
Yeah.
not the knees down, but you know, so physically we talk about those structures, right? It's the upper,
Yeah.
mid, upper, lower back, those musculature, spine, pelvic floor, diaphragm, abdominals, all the layers, all that kind of stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
glutes. But functionally, you know, especially with runners, what I like to look at it is it's, it's how we transfer force from arm to leg. So taking advantage of arm swing, like how can we use the strength, not strengthening, but the power properties of our arm swing to help our push off? That's going to come down somewhere, right? So
Yeah.
typically it comes down through your core, crosses over the body. So as you're
Yeah.
pumping your right arm back, you're slamming that left leg into the ground. If you have a weak core and through here, that energy is not going to get down there. You're going to have energy leaks kind of spewing out everywhere.
Ah, well, right. So the core kind of ties your arms and legs together.
Yeah. So it's the ability to transfer force between upper and lower body, between the two legs, maintain good postural and pelvic positioning.
Hmm.
So with a strong core and all those things active, you think about that when you're running. You've got this solid center. When you get these legs underneath that are pushing off the ground, arms above, swinging, you're trying to maintain a tall spine. You're trying to keep your diaphragm moving to get in breath. The
Yeah.
stronger you are through your core, absolutely the better for the runner.
Got it. See, I thought we were going to spend this whole like 15, 20 minutes talking about doing planks and all that stuff. But I mean, that's good, right? But there's other things that are in the core.
Yeah, yeah. Planks is a good floor-based core exercise,
Yeah.
but also so is a single leg squat with a resisted row on the opposite hand. Can you even
So
picture that?
I in my mind, I think I got it.
Yeah,
I
but like
don't.
I think
Yeah.
any single leg activity,
Hmm.
it could be considered a core activity.
Right.
Okay, anything where you're controlling the position of your spine, maintaining postural integrity through your pelvis, spine, and shoulder blades. I do exercises for abdominals where people put their arms overhead and they're resisting in all these different directions, right?
Hmm.
That resistance through the arms into the core is a core exercise. So they
Right.
look kind of silly doing things, but we're waking up the core. Single leg activities are a core exercise.
Yeah.
Anything where you're messing with your base of support. So like if you're on your hands and knees doing the old bird dogs, everyone knows the bird dogs, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you're going from a 4-point stance, now you got opposite arm and leg reaching out, so now it's 2-point, you've got to maintain that stability.
Yep.
So that's a core exercise.
Got it. Is that the same? Like if I have one of those, I don't know what you call them, but it's like the rubber ball, like the half rubber ball.
The
And I'm,
Bosu.
yeah, the Bosu ball. Yeah. If I'm
Yeah.
standing on that, maybe I'm doing a single leg there. Um, right. I'm balancing. Core's
Yeah.
getting
So what
worked out.
yeah. So what you're doing there is you're making your proprioceptive environment very enriching. How's that for an educational
that,
term, huh?
that sounds so wonderful.
Yeah, I
I
know.
mean, who doesn't?
I think I stole that from someone smarter than me, so I can't take credit.
Well, hey,
Yeah,
it sounds good.
but but back in the day, like, yeah, you just do it on a Bosu ball. That's a core exercise. Just do it
Yeah.
on a Swiss ball or stability ball or whatever you want to call those big inflated balls, right? Yeah,
Hmm.
that's everything you do on there is a core exercise. Well, not really, but those things
Yeah.
help because they add an unstable challenge. When there's instability and you are forced to stable, you're forced to stabilize. You're most likely using a little more core. But before
Gotcha.
you go standing with a single leg on a Bosu, make sure you can do a single leg on a solid surface like earth.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Or like a two legs on a Bosu, right?
exactly. Go from
Mhm.
2 legs to 1 leg on a solid surface, then 2 legs to 1 leg on a unstable surface,
Yep.
and then you can do 2 legs eyes open to 2 legs eyes closed, which is
Wow.
another way to increase stability work, which could
Yeah.
challenge your core a little more.
Gotcha. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
So it's like you got to gradually build up to these things, just like everything,
Just like everything,
Just like everything.
you know,
Um,
you got to build your
right.
tolerance to everything.
Exactly. Right. So are there specific like injuries that pop up in the core region that you see often with runners, or is it more kind of lower body stuff?
That's a really good question. So we can attribute a lot of overuse repetitive injuries in runners that maybe it could have started from a weak core. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think we may have talked about over the past couple of weeks, like when you're running on one leg and if you're really weak through your glutes and your pelvis is dropping, I don't know if you'll be able to see. If I'm standing on one leg and this pelvis just drops down, so you have
Right.
this whole side shifting of your spine. So
Yep.
a weak glute, which is part of your core,
Mm-hmm.
on that single leg stance, dropping down will cause some stress and strain through your hip, pelvis, and lumbar spine. So
Yep.
some like IT band issues could be caused from weak glutes. I've had weak core. We've had people with shin issues caused from weak core. Just about everything could be. If you have a weak core, you could have injuries just about everywhere, even up headaches and neck pain as well.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so here's the thing I want people to realize too. So I have people that come in and they've got a flaming hot, say, IT band tendonitis. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been originally caused by the weak core. So the weak
Mm-hmm.
core is the underlying issue. That's something we need to address. But throwing planks and bird dogs and Bosu work at a runner that has totally inflamed tissues is not really going to solve the injury that they caused. So they still have a tendonitis. So let's fix that
Yeah.
tendonitis while we're fixing the problem that actually caused the tendonitis. Make sense?
Right, got it. So you kind of you don't want to put the cart before the horse situation.
Yeah.
Take care of that acute injury and then focus on the thing that's going to fix it in the long run.
Yeah, because I think I talked last time about not chasing symptoms, but finding the problems, not just relieving the pain. But
Yeah.
sometimes the symptom needs to be addressed as long as you're still finding that problem. Let's say for this week, it's a weak core,
Right.
and you're addressing that.
Got it. Got it. So I've talked to folks and seen this is just like a random question about something I've seen you do
Me personally?
that, yes, you, and I've heard about it. So it's like there's is it a
I'm a little nervous.
psoas? Is it the psoas muscle? Is that a thing? Psoas? No,
Yep,
right?
yep, that's the thing.
So I've had folks that I've worked with, that I've run with, that have mentioned that, they had a really tight psoas, and then they saw you, and you like jammed your fist through their stomach and fixed it.
Yeah,
Like, what's
that's
going
fun.
on? What's going on there? That's got to be part of the core. It's in the middle, right?
It's a big part of the core. So
Yeah.
visualize this, all right? So your psoas is a hip flexor that starts kind of in your high medial hip area here,
Yeah.
darts through your abdominal cavity, all the way through and attaches to 4 out of the 5 lumbar vertebrae. And then it attaches also to your 12th thoracic vertebrae, which is right where your diaphragm attaches.
Yeah.
So that bastard's 2 of them on either side are going right through the core.
Oof, man.
Yes, those are a core muscle. And they get tight with runners because of overuse, because of the constant hip flexor, hip drive with every step. They also get tight on people that sit too much.
Right.
And then the psoas is more of a dynamic muscle than a stabilizing muscle. Can help you out with both. But when it tries to do too much of the stabilizing because you have a weak core, then your psoas can get over tight and overused. That can give you some back pain and even hip pain. So with that, I do a lot of psoas releases where I jam my hands into someone's abdominal cavity, release it. We can actually dry needle that bad boy as well. If we release it, that's all fine and dandy. Right. But again, that's kind of the symptom sometimes is the tight psoas. It's not the problem. So in my earlier years when I released those, oh great, I released the psoas. They felt better immediately, but they almost got worse later on because we didn't stabilize those areas that the psoas was helping to stabilize. It was almost like a reflexive tightness to give you artificial core strength. Not every time, but that's what I see a lot with runners. Artificial.
Not real core.
No, it's like the aspartame of core stability. Is that the fake sugar? Aspartame? I think so.
I think so. It sounds right.
Yeah.
Sweet and low.
It's the sweet and low of core muscles.
Right, got it. So it's in that case, it's doing a job it's not made to do.
Yeah, we could look at it that way. Yeah,
right.
And for anyone who's like in the medical world that hopefully will be listening to this, but I know it's not an absolute. I know not every tight psoas is due to it trying to stabilize the spine, but a lot of times that's the case.
Okay, gotcha. And so you mentioned the dry needling thing.
Yep.
Can I ask you a quick question about that, even though this is a talk on specifically on core strength?
This is your world. I'm just living, so you can do whatever you want.
So that seems like a real stressful thing.
What's that?
Dry needling thing.
Hold on, I'm trying to keep you from falling here. All right. Dry needling sounds stressful.
For you specifically, and maybe for the person getting stabbed with the needle, when you're doing it in that core region, there's lots of things inside of there
important things.
That don't need to be like stabbed with the needle, you know?
Yeah, you're right.
So how you probably you don't drink coffee that day, I would imagine. If you're
me personally?
Yeah, like you don't want to be jittery.
You don't want to be jittery, no.
Right.
Well, it's not like a surgical scalpel. It's not. It's a little more forgiving. So where's the question?
The question is like how, like when you're doing the dry needling in the core region, are there specific spots that you will you will definitely do. And then are there spots you're just not going to go there with that thing?
Yeah. There's a lot of spots I'm not comfortable going there. I've got two certifications for dry needling. I have an advanced level certification, which means
Mhm.
I've been trained to go all up and down your thoracic spine, which is where
Okay.
basically your lung field is. That's the
Hmm.
biggest thing we're concerned about is giving someone a pneumothorax. So me poking a hole in your lung field and all your oxygen leaking out. That's not a good thing.
No.
No. So you end up in a hospital. It's really, really bad. So
Hmm.
I'm not comfortable jamming long needles into the rib cage area, although I was trained to do it. I don't think the risk beats the reward when we have so many other techniques that we can do it. In the
Got it.
psoas area, so again, as I pointed out, the psoas, like, it comes down to here. So when I release it, I'll come in through the abdominal cavity this way.
Yeah.
And, your the smooth muscle structures kind of move out of the way, and I can get to the psoas, which kind of sits more back here. When
Yeah.
we needle it, I either needle the iliacus head, so there's two heads to it, right on the inside of the pelvis, or I'll
Hmm.
come in down lower where it inserts near on the inside of the femur. I'm not going to jam a needle through there. So the
Right.
pressure technique I do through there, I would not jam a needle in there. So I wouldn't do like
Got
that. Yeah, just I would get it at a different way. So yes, we avoid structures.
it.
We
Hmm.
don't want to jam it into organs and things like that that aren't going to respond well to needles.
Okay.
But it's much safer than people realize. Uh,
Yep.
but just the term dry needling just sounds like
Not
not
bad.
fun.
No,
No,
why don't we do a coffee talk on dry needling? Maybe next week.
we can even do an example live on Instagram.
Oh, wow, sounds fantastic.
If
As
I
long
can
as
get
I'm not
what's
getting
that?
stabbed, I'm fine with that.
We could do the Instagram live together, and we could dry needle Eric, and yeah, let the whole world see your first experience with dry needling.
Hey, let's sign me up. Let's do it. I'm game.
All right, we can do that.
Okay, let's get back to core talk real quick.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we know that the core is super important for runners to kind of stabilize, help reduce injuries. Are there some key strengthening exercises that every runner should work into their routine in that core region?
All right, yeah. So we kind of joked about planks at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, not everything about core is plank, but planks and side planks especially.
Mm-hmm.
Every runner needs to have a good side plank because it
Right.
involves hip and pelvic musculature, core, spinal stability, and shoulder blade stability when you're on that sidearm. So
Mm-hmm.
that is an absolute. If you said, Mike, I'm going to do one core exercise for the rest of my life right now, core or trunk, I would say do that one.
Side plank.
Yeah.
Got it.
So you got a plank, make sure you can do the plank, then
Mm-hmm.
progress to a side plank. You're
Yep.
on one arm, there's some key details in the form, but as long as you're in good form, I'd say side plank is where everyone, that's their first goal with their core program.
Got it.
Yeah.
Side plank. Is there another one I should do? Can you give me 3?
Um, you want me to give you 3?
Yeah. So
All right.
side plank 1.
Side
Yep.
plank's 1. I would say bridging with like some sort of single leg component. So that's lying on your back, your knees are bent, you're lifting your butt in the air.
Right.
Then maybe with one foot up, or start with just the one leg, some sort of, so you don't have an even base of support. It's a little uneven. So single leg bridging component, a side plank component, and then I would say a single leg standing reaching type of exercise.
Okay.
Ready? We'll see if I can.
Reaching.
So I'm standing on one leg,
Yep.
kicking the disc chair out of here. So I'm standing on this leg right now. I know you can't see it. If I try to move the phone, it'll fall. Taking my
Yeah.
opposite hand, reaching across, and maybe trying to touch a foam roller that's on the outside of my right leg. So now I've got
Oh,
this single leg stance. I'm controlling pelvis. Cute little hip
Yep.
move there. Controlling my pelvis. I'm working glutes and hamstrings eccentrically and concentrically, so I'm working a lot of hip muscle. I'm working balance and strength in my foot. which is a whole other core type of conversation, the foot.
Yeah.
So those are the three. So you got a standing, you're on your back with the bridge, single leg, and
Yeah.
side plank.
All right. Cool.
Some versions of those.
Fantastic. Awesome. I think that's a great spot to end, Mike. What do you
I think so too. I think we made it through this with very little technical difficulties.
It was impressive. I thought. I mean, we had some serious issues last week, but we got through this.
We had you kind of muting out. We had my phone overheating in the car.
Right.
And a few, I don't know. And I guess my lips and my voice weren't in match. It was like an old Bruce Lee movie.
Yeah. It was like when someone like drops an F-bomb in like a FX show or something, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. But
Right.
so we got a message, Dave the Doink. If you want to do Wednesday dry needling, he's willing to get stabbed right in the wherever.
Dave the Joint wants to get stabbed wherever.
Right, he's game. But no, so
Right.
we'll do definitely coffee talk on dry needling. I think next
All
go
right.
round.
We'll talk in the next 6 days to figure out how we want to do it.
Cool.
But if I don't know if that's going to grow. Is that illegal to show a needle going into a human body on Instagram Live?
No, I mean I'm sure there's been way worse things going
I'm
on.
sure there has.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
we'll see whether you're there or I get a subject, just get a body part. We'll do a needle. It'll be good. We'll talk.
All
We'll
right.
talk needling.
Well,
Sound good?
sounds great.